Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from the Fairgrounds Racecourse here on Saturday. It's the 21st of March 2020. Gonna look at all the stakes races here on Louisiana Derby Day, but before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter and also join me hopefully next Saturday for my Dubai World Cup preview video from Maidan and hopefully the Florida Derby. But it's Louisiana Derby Day. We have a whole bunch of stakes races to look at. Those are races 1, 3, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, and the featured 12th race, so we have a lot on tap. Let's get to it. The opener from the Fairgrounds, first post 11 Central, 12 Eastern. It is the Crescent City Derby per $75,000 race for 3-year-olds here. Louisiana breds. Field of 8 horses are entered to go the distance of ground here of 1,700 meters, with the distance of ground of 1 mile and 1/16th on the main track. 1,700 meters, a mile 1/16th main track. Top selection here in the Crescent City Derby. I'm going to go with the number 1 horse, Sidester. I'm going to go 1-3-5-2 in the superfecta. 1-3-5-2 super. Top selection, 1 horse, Sidester. 3-year-old gelded by Power Broker. Edward Johnson trains. Florent Giroux, who's having a very good Fairgrounds meeting, gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came on the 17th of February here at the Fairgrounds. Mile 70 off turf and lounge race 41,000. He finished second by 1 3/4 lengths. He stalked early on, had a lead for a split portion, but he just couldn't keep the momentum late. It wasn't the day to win. Hopefully slowing it down on the front end today. I think he'll get a better trip, and I think he could go wide wire. 2 back here in on the 31st January here, Fairgrounds, mile 70 in a lounge race, 46,000 on 12. First time facing winners. He won by 2 1/4 lengths. He basically had everything his own way. Easy race, quickened up nicely. Good run, 75 buyer there. And then his debut, turf debut at the Fairgrounds, 1 mile main special weight, 40,000. He won by 1/4 lengths. Speed was favoring that afternoon with the rails down. He had a little bit of a little erratic that day, but he still got the win on the front end all throughout. Good race. He's run 4 times. His worst race was at a sprinting trip, but he's routing again here today. He's drawn well. He's been training well. Let's take him. In the multi-race wagers to begin it off, I would go 1-3, but to recap my selection for the first from the Fairgrounds, it's the Crescent City Derby. Let's take the 1 horse Sidester. We'll go 1-3-5-2 in the superfecta, 1-3 in the multi-race. Let's get to the Oaks, the third race from the Fairgrounds. It is the Crescent City Oaks per $75,000 races for 3-year-old fillies, Louisiana breds, field of 8 horses going to the main track. The distance of ground of 1 mile and 70 yards on the main track. 1 mile, 70 yards, main track. The top selection here, we're going to go with the number 6 horse. The number 6 horse, who is Vachery's Girl, or Vachery's Girl. If I said that right, probably didn't, but just pardon that. We'll go 6-4-8-2 in the superfecta. 6-4-8-2 super. Top selection, 6 horse, Vachery's Girl. This 3-year-old filly by Tapture. Steve Asmussen trains. Ricardo Santana Jr. gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the 8th of February at Delta. 1 mile in the Premier Star Stakes for Staybres, and the horse ran horribly. Finished 9th by 23 lengths and just never really stepped foot out of the gate, broke, and then just did nothing. As a heavy favorite, she should have ran a lot better. Before that, she ran at Fairgrounds 6 furlongs in Louisiana Futurity in late December, and she won and finished third by 4 1/4 lengths there. She was a little bit wide, and she closed up a little bit that day. Not the world's worst race for her, but still 50 cents a dollar. She should have won. And then Louisiana Lassie at the Fairgrounds 6 furlongs 14th of December. She won by 1 1/4 lengths. She sat back early. She quickened up nicely and just went away with a very good run. And then she broke her maiden here at 5.5, going away by 6.5. A little bit wide, but she got the job done. She's been training well. I'll give her a shot here, but she's been a very heavy favorite her last few starts. Just over even 50 cents a dollar, and just over 1 to 2. So it's all been crap. But I like this horse today. We'll take her. I think the 4 horse Seb's Princess you also have to use. She's coming this race from the Fairgrounds a few weeks ago, going a mile, where she won by 4.5, winning very easily. Her buyer numbers have been a little low, but she's been, she started. She's gonna be making her 10th start here today. Can't speak, pardon me, but 10th start here today. She has the experience. Like I said, she'll have to jump quite a few buyer numbers, but I'm gonna give her a shot here at 5-1. So to recount my selection for the third from the Fairgrounds, Crescent City Oaks, let's take the number 6 horse, Vachery's Girl. We'll go 6-4-8-2 in the superfecta, 6-4 in the multi-race. Let's get over to race number 6 now from Race number 6, it's the Costa Rising Stakes purse $75,000 race for 3-year-olds and upwards, accredited Louisiana breds. We have a field of 16 horses entered, but 12 could go to the Stall Wilson turf course, a distance of ground of 1,100 meters, or the distance of ground of 5.5 furlongs on the turf course. 1,100 meters, 5.5 furlongs. rails are down. And starting this year at the fairgrounds, the turf races used to always be at the about distance. All the turf races this year, when the rails are down, they'll be running it at the true distance, shall we say, and it's quite it doesn't really make much, but it's quite different. But one little note I find funny here: the maximum field size for the Costa Rising will be determined by rail setting. I could have swore that when the rails are down, they run a full 14 horse gate for 5.5, but I was wrong. I could have swore they did, but like I said, I was wrong. But my top selection in the Coast Rising, I'm going to go to the rail to the 2-horse Win Lion Win. We'll go 211.76 in the superfecta, 211.76 super. Top selection 2-horse Win Lion Win. 9-year-old gelding by Lion Tamer. James Graham gets the mounts. The horse's most recent outing came the 8th of February at Delta. 5 furlongs in the Premier Sprint Stakes, and he finished 6th by 4.5 lengths. Was with them early on, but then it kind of hit the wall late. It just wasn't the day to win. The horse's dirt races have been very subpar, but the turf races have been very good. Most recently in the Samstown at Delta, those 5 furlongs on the 11th of January on the dirt, he finished 5th by 6 lengths and didn't show a lot that day. Moved maybe a little late, but it wasn't anything that he showed. And then before that, Louisiana Sprint at the fairgrounds, 6 furlongs on the dirt, he finished 9th by 12 lengths and had nothing, didn't break well, was wide throughout. Wasn't his day to win, but he's always run these decent turf races. They took him to the Woodford in October at Keeneland. Too tough competition. He finished 7th. Then before then, in the Mystic Lake Turf Sprint at Canterbury in 5/8, he had a decent place there. Against some not so bad horses. And then before that, Lounge Race Canterbury 5 furlongs, finished 2nd by 4 lengths. Again, the winner was a little bit better, but he ran not a bad place there. Ran here last year and won this race very nicely by earning 87 buyer. And then before that, won on the turf course here at the fairgrounds. So he's a winner of his last 2 on this lawn. He's always run these decent races here. 6-1, speed from the rail really holds up, especially when the rails are down. I'm going to give him a shot here. So to recount my selection for the 6 from the fairgrounds to Costa Rising, let's take the 2-horse Win Lion Win. We'll go 211.76 in the superfecta. We'll go 211.7 in the multi-race. Let's get over to race number 8 now. Race number 8, it's the Tom Benson Memorial, purse $100,000, race for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 11 horses entered to go the distance of round here of 1,700 meters, or the distance of ground of 1.116 on the Stall Wilson turf course. 1,700 meters, 1.116 turf course, rails again at 0 feet. As example, the true distance here, 1.16, not the boot. But the top selection, I'm going to go with the 1-horse Dream Passage. We'll go 1.982 in the superfecta, 1.982 super. Top selection, 1-horse Dream Passage. The 6-year-old mare by Stormy Atlantic. Brad Cox trains. Florent Giroux gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came in the Jersey Lily Stakes at Sam Houston, 1.16 on a good turf course. The horse finished 2nd by 3.5 lengths. Was with the pace setters early on. Got caught by winning envelope right before the wire. But, first off, a little bit of freshening. You kind of expect the horse to meet the race. Second off the break, back to the fairgrounds. I'm going to give her a shot. 2 backs ran an optional 100 here in New York at Aqueduct, 1.16 on the inner turf course, and the horse won by 3.5 lengths, and basically on the front and all throughout, very, very easy fractions, almost 1/50 to the half. And, when you do easy fractions like that, the horse should go wire to wire, and she did. Very easy run at 60 cents to the dollar. And then at Belmont, 1.8 on the inner and optional 62. She won by 2. The inner turf course at Belmont plays towards speed, especially in routing or marathon trips. This horse was routing that day, winning by 2, drawn well, quickened up nicely. It was a very good, easy race. And then at Belmont, 1.16 on the Widener Star Lounge race. Okay, the Widener turf course at Belmont can play towards closers, but that day this horse stalked, and when she got the lead, she just kept going and going and going. Probably her best race lifetime, earning a 92 buyer, but she's been on the up and up most recently. 92, let's take her. Multi-race scenario, I think you also have to use the 9-horse winning envelopes. She actually won the Jersey Lily a few weeks ago, Sam Houston, closing up from nowhere. She's a deep closer here. This turf course with a long stretch can play towards deep closers. At 9-2, we'll also use her on the ticket, and also the 8-horse, she's on the warpath. Won the Louisiana Memorial a few weeks ago very nicely. She's the kind of horse, it wouldn't surprise me if she gets a good trip. We'll definitely use her on the multi also. But to recap my selection now for the 8th from the fairgrounds at Tom Benson Memorial, let's take the 1-horse Dream Passage. We'll go 1.982 in the superfecta, 1.98 in the multi-race. Let's get to the 9th race. Very rich. Race number 9, it's the New Orleans Classic. It's going a Grade 2 event going for a purse of $400,000, race for 4-year-olds and upwards. We have 9 horses entered to go the distance of ground of 1,800 meters, or the mile and eighth trip on the main track. 1,800, a mile and an eighth. Race used to be known as New Orleans Handicap, but the past year they've been changing all these handicaps at the fairgrounds to classic, so all allowance weights. So I think that's a somewhat good idea, and right now, but hopefully in the future we can get back to handicap weights in the sport. With that being said, my top selection, I'm going to go with the number 3 horse Fearless, a horse I'm very excited about. I'm going to go 3, 4, 5, 8 in the superfecta, 3, 4, 5, 8 super, top selection, and a single in the multi is the 3 horse Fearless. 4-year-old Gelding by Go Zapper, top hiker trains. I Rider Tease Jr. is supposed to get them out. I don't think he'll be going over to the fairgrounds to ride, so we might have a switch of rider here. But with that being said, this horse, they bought this horse for almost $750,000 at Keeneland in September of 2017. Took him a while to get to the track, the end of his 3-year-old campaign, but I think he has something going for him. His most recent outing at Gulfstream, mile 16th and Upsall 25, he won by 8.5 lengths. He was drawn well wide that day, 8 of 8, which is not ideal with that quick run to the first turn at Gulfstream, but he got over well. He got the lead, and then he could have probably went around another 8 times, and I'm not kidding. He won for fun, beating some decent horses home that day. Very good run. Keep in mind, second place finisher was the next start-out winner. 2 back against maiden horses at Gulfstream, 3/4 mile, 22nd of December. He won by 3/4 length. He was with them early on. He got the job done at probably a distance he doesn't like. He's been training well at the Pletcher base in South Florida at Palm Beach. He's bred for the trip, and he's the kind of horse, as the distances should go longer, he should get better. Kind of horse, if the Pimlico special was in about 2 months or whatever it would be now, 7 weeks, he looks like the kind of horse that would really do well at Pimlico. But with that being said, Pimlico will probably not be running in 7 weeks. So you'll have to wait until for the Pimlico special in to be run in, I guess, September, whenever they run the Preakness. But he's the kind of horse, as the distance, like I said, distances get longer, he should do well. He should like the long stretch, and I think he's sitting on a very good race. His power numbers have been incredible, especially for that last 199. Let's take him here at 9-2, single in the multi-race. The pick 4 begins with this race. So to recap my selection for the 9th from the fairgrounds, it's the Grade 2, 400,000 New Orleans Classic Handicap. Gonna go with the 3 horse Fearless. I'm gonna go 3, 4, 5, 8 in the superfecta, single 3 in the multi-race. Let's get to race number 10, it's the Muniz Memorial Classic, Grade 2, purse $300,000, race for 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 13 horses entered to go the distance of ground of 1,800 meters, with the distance of ground of a mile and an eighth on the Stall Wilson turf course. 1,800 meters, a mile and an eighth here in the Muniz Handicap or Memorial, whatever they call it now. Who would have thought this race would have produced Horse of the Year in 2019? I said the same thing about the Stymie of 2019 from Aqueduct. That produced the Brews Cup Classic winner. Who would have knew? But the top selection here in the Muniz, I'm going to go with the number 8 horse, the 8 horse who is Channel Maker. I'm going to go 8-12-1-6 in the superfecta, 8-12-1-6 super. Top selection 8 horse Channel Maker, 6-year-old Gelding by English Channel, Belmont trains. Junior Alvarado comes in for the mount. The horse's most recent outing came at Gulfstream, 29th of February, mile 3/8 in the McDermott Stakes, and the horse finished 4th by 4 3/4 lengths. He stalked all the way around the race course. He looked like he had a little traffic in the stretch run, and he never kind of quickened up. It was a very weird run. He should have did a little bit better, but you still expect him to not run his A game off of a break of 3 months. Before then, the Breeze Cup Turf, Santa Anita, mile and a half, facing too much competition, drawn wide. He finished 12th by 8.5 lengths. He really had nothing there. And then before then, the Turf Classic at Belmont, a mile and a half on the widener. He finished 2nd by a half length. He was with them early on. He got caught when he had the lead, but he didn't go back down without a fight behind Arklow. I thought he ran a decent race there. And then the Sword Dancer, he finished 4th by 2 3/4 lengths. He ran the year before, he just couldn't get to Glorious Empire in the Sword Dancer. This year, he just really didn't quicken up there from the Y post draw. And then before then, the Bowling Green, he finished 4th by 3/4 length. He just didn't have the speed to win there. He won once in 2019. That's when he won the Man War, after they had a very good pace in front of him. From a starting position, he got there Arklow nearly got to him, but he ran a terrific race. Come here to make his fairgrounds debut. A cutback in trips that suit him well. 6-1, let's use him. I think the 12 horse Synchrony, who loves this turf course, could also run a good race. He's lost twice on this turf course. Actually, his most two recent starts on this turf course. He lost the Fairgrounds Stakes a few weeks ago, the local prep race for this race, and he lost this race last year when it was a handicap behind Bricks and Mortar, went on to win, be Horse of the Year, and win the Breeze Cup Turf. But this horse, other than that, when he's not facing those tough horses, he wins on this turf course. He's gonna have to overcome a wide posture, but at 3-1 with Jersey Joe Bravo up, we'll use him on the multis. But to recap my selection now for the 10th from the Fairgrounds, the Muniz Memorial Classic. Let's take as a top selection the 8-horse Channel Maker, with 8-12-1-6 in the superfecta, 8-12 in the multi race. Let's get to the co-featured 11th race. Race number 11, it's the Fairgrounds Oaks Grade 2 purse, $400,000 race for fillies, 3-year-olds here. 6 horses are going to the main track, the distance of ground of 1,700 meters, or the mile and 1/16th trip on the main track. 1,700 meters, a mile 1/16th. Top selection and a single in the multi-race 6-horse Fine Night. We'll go 6-3-1-4 in the superfecta, 6-3-1-4 super. Top selection singles, the 6-horse Fine Night, 3-year-old filly by Munning. Steve Asmussen trains. Ricardo Santana Jr. gets the mount. If the Kentucky Oaks was in about 4 or 5 weeks, whatever it was supposed to be, this horse would probably be your morning line favorite. But with the now being in the first Friday in September, it's a completely different kind of picture. This horse is going to have to get through a summer campaign. Wouldn't surprise me if they, after this race, they take this horse to, say, Monmouth for the Molly Pincher, or even the Alabama at Saratoga if they run it earlier in the meeting, even the Mother Goose. Mother Goose is going to be a good race this year. But with the Oaks switching around, it's becoming a different kind of pitch for this horse. But she's a very good horse. Most recent outing, the Rachel Alexander at the Fairgrounds, mile 16th in late mid-February. She won by 4 3/4 lengths from a wide post, a little bit wide throughout. But when she got the lead, she took off clear. That was a very good run, and she went. She increased with her buyer numbers, and she got a lot better with that race. 2 back in the Silver Bullet Day at the Fairgrounds, mile 70. She should have won that race by a country mile, but she didn't. She won by a neck. She stalked. She just couldn't get there until late in the race. She had to be used a lot. Maybe it was inexperience, but she kind of digressed with that race, considered to the race before, which was the Golden Rod, where she won by 3/4 lengths. She stalked. She got the lead, and then she ran a good race, starting her 81 buyer, and then the Rags to Riches. She won by 6. She just took off clear from the stalking trip. I like her at the mile 16 trip. She loves this racetrack. She really went up with the last race, and to tell you the truth, the last race was actually a lot tougher than the competition she's facing here today. So I think she'll get a good run. 3-5, not the best price in the world, but a single in the multis. I know I'm going to single her. So to recap my selections for the 11th and 10th Fairgrounds, it's Grade 2 Fairgrounds Oaks. Let's take the 6-horse Fine Night. We'll go 6-3-1-4 in the superfecta, single the 6 in the multi-race. Let's get to the 12th. The featured 12th race from the Fairgrounds, it's the Louisiana Derby, Grade 2 purse, $1 million, race for 3-year-olds here. We have a field of 16 horses, but only 14 can go the distance of ground of 1,900 meters, or a mile 3/16 on the Fairgrounds main track. 1,900 meters, a mile 3/16 main track. And the distance is special this year because earlier this year they announced that they're going to increase the Derby prep distances at the Fairgrounds. The LeCompte was a mile 16th, the Risen Star was a mile 8th, and this year Louisiana Derby is mile 3/16, and this is going to be the first mile 3/16 race in my lifetime at the Fairgrounds. I just missed their last one. I believe I read somewhere that the last one was in 1994, 93, and I was born in late 95, so it's going to be quite cool. And a lot of trainers look like they like the increase in distance, so it wouldn't surprise me if maybe in the next few years the final Derby prep races, say the Florida Derby, the Bluegrass, and the Wood Memorial, it wouldn't surprise me if those races go to a mile 3/16. I think it's a good kind of Derby final prep race. It's going to give you maybe a little bit of a better indication if your horse can maybe go the mile and a quarter, because that final eighth of a mile in the Derby can be tough. But with that being said, my top selection here, I'm going to go with the number 6 horse, Shake Some Action. We'll go 6-9-2-1 in the superfecta, 6-9-2-1 super. Top selection 6 horse, Shake Some Action. This 3-year-old colt by Into the Mischief, Brad Cox trains. Colby Hernandez gets the mount. His most recent outing came on the 15th of February here at the Fairgrounds, about in the 8th and optional 50. The horse won by a neck that day, and he sat mid-pack most of the race, a little bit wide, but when he kept chugging along, and the wire came good for him. It was a good run there for his first dirt victory. Two back on the turf on LeCompte, actually. Mile 8th in the main special weight 50,000. He won by 1.5 lengths and from a wide poster, very wide around the turns, and he was being a little bit stubborn before the race, keep in mind. A little wide before around the turns, but he had a great turn of foot, and he went away with it. Very good run. He's the kind of horse, looks like he wants a longer trip. He's been training well. The long fairground stretch should suit him well. He's going to have to step up in class, but I'm going to give him a shot here at 15-1. We'll also use the 9 horse here, Portos on the multi-race, 3-year-old colt by Tappet. I did talk about him a few weeks ago, saying he looks like a good kind of Belmont Stakes horse. But he kind of digressed into Withers. First time winners at Aqueduct a few weeks ago, going mile 8th. He finished third by 3 3/4 lengths. He was very, very wide that day from a wide post draw. He moved a little bit that day, but it wasn't anything spectacular. With a longer run to the first turn today. God, that wasn't even proper English, but can't hear myself. Sorry, my allergies are screwing up, and my ears are clogged. But we'll get through, even if I'm not speaking proper English. But in the Withers, he was very wide. He moved a little bit late. He should have did a lot better. Two back on New Year's Eve at Aqueduct, mile 8th on the stop. He won by 10 1/4. He sat back early. He slowly moved away up and just kept going. Very easy run. Okay, against lesser quality horses, but it's still, lesser quality horses for today. But it was decent horses that day. And then before that, Aqueduct, mile 8th on 11th November, main special weight 70,000. Finished second by 3 1/4 lengths behind Country Grammar, and he set the pace early on. He got caught by Country Grammar, but he didn't run half a bad race. And then before that, Keelan going mile 16th, finished third by 4.5 lengths. He really closed up for nowhere. I thought he ran a terrific race. Kind of horse, long stretch here. If he gets a good trip at 8-1, I think you'll see him near the finish. And also, I think you have to use the 2 horse Mailman Money. If there's a horse that could win on the front end, I think it could be him. He ran 4th in the Risen Star a few weeks ago, where he had a horrible trip. But from the inside today, instead of breaking from post 10, he's breaking from post 2. I think he could get an easier trip, and I think he could get a good race. 15-1. Let's use him here on the multi-race. I don't trust a lot of the shorter priced horses in this race. I think this race is very wide open, and I think it's going to light up the board. But to recap my selection now for the 12th from the Fairgrounds, it's the $1 million Grade 2 Louisiana Derby. Let's take the 6 horse, shake some action. We'll go 6-9. 2-1 in the superfecta, 6-9-2 to end off the multi-ragers. So good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5. Good luck, everybody.